Let's see if I can't sort out the last little hiccup that we've got on the main guts of the problems that we've had to deal with. And that's going to be likely under that cover right there. So I can see if I can figure out what is going on with the transmission and why I can't shift into first or up into third. But I can shift into second and then back into neutral with no problems. So I think it's something to do with the shift cam gear up front and the shifter pawl. Something is going on there. As the shift cam itself engages and it shifts into all gears. When I had the oil pan off and I was able to just reach in and, you know, push the shift cam with no problem, and it engaged. No issues there. So I think the issue is the actual shifter linkage up in here, or the shifter pawl or a spring or something like that. But I'm gonna pull the cover off and start poking at it. All right, back over here on the shifter side, and this is what it's doing. Try to shift down into first and nothing. It just won't go. You can hear it trying to actuate the shifter cam, but it won't click nothing into gear. I got a rocket, but why don't you want to go into second now? I have to rock it. Anyway, I could rock it up a couple inches and it would go into second just fine, but it wouldn't go up into third. But it will go back down to neutral. Still won't go into neutral, no matter whether I'm rocking it back and forth or have the clutch in or out, or have the engine running. No matter what RPM, it just won't pull it down into first or up past second. So that's what we're about to do. I just wiped a bunch of the water off of the areas up above the case cover that I'm pulling, so it doesn't rain down into it. I just put fresh oil in there, and I don't need to change it just yet. So I'm going to try and avoid that. But I think I probably also need to tilt this thing a little bit more. I mean, the kickstand it's got on it puts it at a pretty sharp angle anyway. But I think I need to go a little bit farther with it. So I'm going to prop up a little bit with something under the front wheel, and that'll put the oil farther that way into the case and hopefully keep from spilling it when I pull this cover off. So give me just a second, I'll do that. Got it propped up on the front wheel and the side stand, the rear wheel, with a piece of 2x, like 2x6 up underneath the front wheel. And that should give me plenty of angle with how short that kickstand is. But let me get this cover off real quick. And these are number 5 metric. Alright, got the cover off, and looks like I get to do a damn oil change anyway, because that's gasoline, which means one of my float bowls floats are sticking open, and the petcock is not closing when it doesn't have a vacuum on it, and it just allows it to freaking free flow fuel into the damn crankcase, which is lovely, but that doesn't change my current agenda. So I need to go grab my snap ring pliers so I can pull that snap ring loose, which will allow me to pull that little cover off, which will gain me access to a couple of different things. There's a needle bearing, a flat needle bearing that sits up in there on this guy, and a washer, I think, and then there's a nut that'll have to pull loose, and then the whole clutch assembly just comes straight out. You don't have to pull these loose and all that fun stuff. So give me just a minute. Here's your handy dandy snap ring pliers. Reach up in there. Make sure you're real nice and square up against the face of the back plate there. Squeeze it in and pull straight out. Come on, come on. There we go. And if you're gentle when you release the pressure, it don't go ping and fly off into oblivion. And be real gentle with this next part. Pull that guy out. Oh, and I dropped it. Didn't want to drop that, but I dropped it anyway. That's a little needle bearing. Stick it back on its little plate there. And then that guy comes out. And we can just stick him right back how he goes. Put that like there, like so. And now we have access to the nut. So let me get the proper socket for that. And we will pull it off, pull the clutch basket out. I don't know where the hell all my metric stuff is, but inch and 3/16, kind of thinner sidewall. Seems like it's gonna fit all right. But let me get my 3/4 inch to 1/2 inch adapter sorted out. All right, I got the right doodad. Swap them out. Get on there. Now I can pull that sucker loose. Let me go put it in gear. Yeah, well, I don't need to worry about making a mess anymore. I accomplished that. So yeah, you just put it in gear, and you're on this side anyway working on it, so you step on your rear brake as hard as it'll go, and just rattle it right off. It comes right loose. Oh man, that's not really a mess. Better, there we go. All right, once you got your nut out, there is this little cup and a washer that'll be left behind. You want to pull those out. Be real careful that you don't drop those little screws. They need to stay in there. And once you get them out, they're garbage. You just throw them away, because they're broken off in there anyway. And what this was for was when the pre-assembler put the clutch pack together, that was just so everything was lined up just the right way how it was supposed to be during pre-assembly, and you don't need to worry about it. You'll never use them again. So those screw heads that are broken off, if they are broken off, are garbage, and they should be. But now that that's out, this whole assembly just should slide out. Yeah, come on. Pull that guy out. Yeah, pull that guy out. And what else are we catching on? We shouldn't be catching on anything. We don't need to pull the clutch packs out. It should just come out. Are we catching on threads? What are we catching on here? Alright, now give me a few. Alright, that was a little bit more of a pain in the ass than it was supposed to normally be, because my inner basket was hanging up on the end of the threads, just the very tip on the inner shaft. Oh! But once I went ahead and pulled the clutch packs out of it, and then had to use the basket itself as sort of a hammer and just slide it ting, 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 until it came off. Still a whole bunch of dang gas in there. It's going to have fresh oil real quick. Fresh cloth here, but I think I figured out what the heck's going on. And it was my own fault, because when I got this thing and first started tearing it apart and looking everything over, it had an issue where it would not engage anything at all. The shift shaft assembly on this side it lost the C-clip on that side, so it had backed off and was too far in, and it was not engaging this little semicircle gear at all. It was just out here hanging in free space, floating. So without taking the clutch out, I was able to get it back into place where it did engage the cam gear, but see where it's at? I'm off. I need to come up a little bit, because it runs out of throw when I'm trying to shift into first from neutral. That's as far as it can go, because I'm out of teeth. So I got to come up with that shaft a little bit, so that I have just that much more room for it. That little puck right there, there's that one, and there's one on the other side. See it in there? But they're engaging on the shift drum assembly right in there on that edge and pulling it. They're trying to pull it, but it just runs out of room. See where it's catching on that pin right there? So that's doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's binding it, keeping it from going too far. I just need to pull that cover back off, pull a clip, slide this in, and engage it another 1 or 2 teeth over, put it in the middle, and that's it. I should have all gears. This side is pretty self-explanatory. You got to pull that off first, so loosening that guy, it's a 10 millimeter, and then wiggle it off. And then number 5s on all of these, pull them loose and wiggle that off gently. Don't lose your clutch rod or the ball bearing that's behind it. Keep those in the doohickey if you can. And then there, you'll see a little C-clip, and we'll show you that here in just a minute once I get this. All right, once you got those loose, pull that thing off and just slide it out of the way. And again, watch, make sure you don't lose that guy. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, that's right. I've got nothing holding it on the other side, so it's just pushing straight the fuck through. That was smart. There we go. Keep that from falling out on that side. That'll be bad. And hopefully I didn't knock out my dang ball bearing. Really hope I didn't knock out my ball bearing. But anyway, now we got this off and out of the way. You don't need to disconnect all this stuff. Just slide it over out of the way a little bit. There is that little C-clip right there. You need to get that off of the shift shaft, and then we'll be able to do what we got to do to fix this situation. All right, and you got to use the other kind of pliers for this one that open, expand, because it's an outside one. Pull it off, pull that guy off, and then that guy will slide forward. Back over to this side, and now we can readjust. And let's see. Or we got to go one more with it. Oh, come on. Come on. It won't go in that one. So it's got to go in. No, it has to go. Yeah. Give me just a second. Again, I gotta have both hands for this. Well, basically just put it back together in the same order you took it apart in. Put the washer on first on your shaft, and then you want to gently slide your clip on while you're holding your shaft so it doesn't push it that way and come disengaged, and then put that guy back on. Alright, you don't even got to put your bolts in to test all this to make sure it's right. Just put it on. It's got alignment pins and a shift shaft to make sure that the cover's in its right spot, and then you can put your shifter assembly back on your shift shaft. You don't even have to put the bolt in it, but it helps just to keep it from wiggling around. And then you can test it from right here. You don't even have to go over there and look. And it did not have first before, it just was nothing. We just shifted into first. Neutral, second, third, tries to go into fourth. Yeehaw! Fixed. I got all gears. Ooh, mama. Alright, now we put this side back together. Just, again, put it back together in the opposite order you took it apart in. And perfect timing, because at exactly the moment, oh, stupid thing, why? That I finished and buttoned everything up and wiped it down. It starts raining again. Which sucks because I have like work I need to be doing. I have a set of injectors to freaking pull out and do a compression test on a 7.3, but I'm not pulling the valve covers with this going on. So that'll probably be tomorrow. Maybe I'll just pull it into a shop somewhere and work on it. But this, I'm beyond tickled that that's all that was. Woo!